Poised for Exit is a show for business owners who want to achieve a successful exit based on their own terms. Your business exit will likely be the biggest financial transaction of your life, and for most, you'll have one shot at doing it right. The topics and guests we feature and the stories they share will provide valuable ideas and strategies to improve operations and grow enterprise value so you can achieve the best possible exit outcome. Now here's your host, award-winning certified exit planning advisor, Julie Keys.
Welcome everyone to the Poised for Exit podcast show. We have two guests for you today. One is a woman who owns a fractional marketing services firm, and the other is her financial advisor who's going to be doing the interview. You're going to want to hear this one, so stay with us.
Thinking about selling your business in the next few years? Don't wait to start planning. I've seen too many business owners wait too long and regret it. Freedom Financial Partners are financial advisors who specialize in exit planning for business owners, helping you reduce tax surprises, protect what you've built, and quantify how much you need from the sale. Their proven process helps you think beyond your business so you can move forward with clarity and confidence. The longer you wait, the fewer options you may have. Download your free financial readiness assessment today at ffpforme.com/exit. That's ffpforme.com/exit.
This is Andy Kosamba, president of Calhoun Companies. We understand that selling your business is a big deal. Since 1908, Calhoun Companies has been confidently connecting buyers and sellers. From small family shops to large corporations, our expert brokers walk with you and guide you every step of the way, whether you're looking to retire or simply for a fresh start. If you're curious what your business could sell for, or if you're ready to start the process, head to calhouncompanies.com for a free and confidential consultation. Calhoun Companies, the confident choice for buyers and sellers.
My name is Todd Crow, and I'm the president of the Twin Cities Exit Planning Chapter. If you're a business owner and advisor and want to learn more about the world of exit planning, you're invited to visit the Twin Cities chapter of the Exit Planning Institute. You can expect top-level education delivered by subject matter experts at every monthly meeting. Grow your network and draw from the learning that could be a game changer for your business or your practice. There's no pressure to become a member, so come and see what the buzz is all about. Our meetings are held the second Wednesday of the month, 7:30 to 9 a.m. See the show notes for more information and registration links.
Exiting your business is a big deal, both financially and emotionally. I'm John Marquet, certified exit planning advisor with TrustPoint. We help business owners transition smoothly on their terms. Our focus is on maximizing value, minimizing stress, and giving you confidence in what's next. Whether you're selling or passing the torch, we make the process seamless. Start planning today at trustpointinc.com. That's trustpointinc.com.
Hello, Poised for Exit listeners. We are here today with Jennifer Zick, who is the founder and CEO of Authentic, and her financial advisor, John Schwalbach from Freedom Financial. And he is actually going to be our guest interviewer and host today. So super excited about that. John and his company are also sponsors of Poised for Exit, as many of you know. And so I'm really looking forward to this. It's been a long time since I've had an advisor interview their client. And just like to say welcome to both of you for being on the show. You've actually been on the show before, so welcome back.
Thanks, Julie. Excited to be back.
Definitely. And in different seats, not exactly the same as the last time, right? So Jennifer, as John's client, I just thought it would be an interesting angle for him to interview you. Our listeners, as you know, or maybe you don't know, they're made up of owners and advisors from across the globe, really, not just across the country anymore. And I think it's just a really great way for them to learn how important intentional planning is from the perspective of a business owner. So that's why we're doing this. I thought it would be fun. Okay. Well, John, take it away.
All right. Thanks, Julie.
You're welcome.
So Jennifer, I want you to just take us back to the early days. What inspired you to start Authentic?
Yeah, thank you. So happy to share my story and my journey. I started this business now almost 9 years ago. It was March of 2017, and I was fresh off of my first ever job loss. So really, I didn't have a master plan to become an entrepreneur. I basically was pushed off the ledge and forced to evaluate my life on the way down, right? So it actually was the biggest blessing that could have happened at that point in my life. It gave me a moment to step back, look at the career path I was on, search my soul and my values and ask myself what I really wanted from my one short, precious life. And just a few years prior to losing that job, I actually had faced a scare with ovarian cancer. And when you face your own mortality, and then you face the loss of the career and what you thought you had planned, sometimes that can make you braver and bolder. And that's what happened for me. And I decided it was time. So that was where I took myself up to our cabin in the North Woods of Minnesota and started doodling about what problems I could solve and how would I start. And 1 month after losing my job, I launched a new business from my kitchen table. So that's how it got started.
Wow, that's amazing. I love your story. You've shared that with me before, and I hope it's an inspiration to others as well. I want to talk about just as the business started to grow from just this idea that you had, what were some of the key inflection points along the way?
Gosh, there have been a lot of inflection points along the way. One of the biggest changes that I can observe now in myself in hindsight is that when I started this business without some kind of master plan to be an entrepreneur, I really started from a position of fear and scarcity and a little bit of, not even just a little, quite a lot of anger over the loss of my job, a lot of big emotions going on at that time. And the biggest change that's happened in me as I made the decision to take the entrepreneurial leap and take those steps forward is that it forced me to recognize my own limitations and be humbled by that and start to really intentionally move from a position of fear and scarcity to understanding that if I was going to grow something, it had to be out of love and faith and abundance and surrender rather than striving and driving. It had to be from a posture of receiving and believing. And so that was a work of faith in my life and in just deciding to bravely take the next step at every point along the way in this journey. And every entrepreneur will tell you that it's never a smooth path. And so I'm grateful for every struggle and challenge that I have faced that's allowed me to once again let go of the vine a little bit more and grab onto trust a little bit more. So that's been the biggest change in me through every single inflection point.
Got it. So I want to explore a little bit like when planning became important for you. Was there a time in this journey when you realized that you needed to become more intentional with your planning and what your future was going to look like?
Yes. There's two different ways to think about that in terms of like business strategy and planning, and then financial strategy and planning. And there's many other areas of planning in life. But I'll tell you that when I got started, I had had the good fortune of working in entrepreneurial environments before and very closely with owners and learned so much from those experiences. And so I feel like I started my business with a good, solid strategy and plan for how to grow a business, how to scale, and even how to begin with the end in mind and be thinking about value creation. That did not mean I knew how to do it. I just knew I should think about it. But when it came to financial planning, I grew up in a family that didn't have a lot of financial resources, and my husband and I have worked really hard over the time of our marriage and life to build meaningful careers. But we always had jobs and careers and income, and we had personal financial plans around that and savings and investment plans. But my business several years ago started to suddenly have some critical mass. And I went from having a job with income to having a business with profitability and value. And the first 6 to 7 years of my business, I didn't take any distributions beyond my own salary because I was reinvesting to fuel the growth of the business. So I was still living from an income and savings perspective when suddenly I began to start to grow something of greater value, and I didn't know what to do with that. That was the moment when I'm like, I need a wealth management financial planning guide who knows how to help a business owner, because I don't know what I have on my hands or what to do with it or how to even think about how this changes the shape of my future. So that was the moment. And that awareness started about 3 years ago. And that's when I started asking all my more experienced entrepreneurial friends, who are your guides? Who are your advisors? And who do I need to bring to the table to help me now?
So I want to pivot a little bit to just talking about when you started that planning process.
Mm-hmm.
So I think everyone goes into a planning process maybe with, some type of, idea of what that's going to look like. So when you started, what did you think you needed to get out of that process? And what did you discover you actually needed as you went through it?
Wow. I'm still discovering, but what I thought I needed was a wealth management partner who understood business ownership. I thought I needed somebody who could help me nail down the question that every entrepreneur is asked by their advisors, which is, what's your number? If you're going to plan for the end in mind, you need to know what your number is. I had no clue how to think about calculating that or what that would look like in real life in the scenario of our personal goals and our family. So I thought I needed that, and I'm grateful to have that. But what I didn't know that I needed was also somebody looking at all of the aspects around risk and planning leading up to whatever eventual exit might be in my future. I had no idea the exposure, for instance, that I had around my own personal disability and life insurance and what that would mean for my business and my family should something happen to me, because I'm still so needed and involved in my business today. So what I really needed was an advisory relationship that would help me look at the whole picture of how do I start to understand what's available to me now and what decisions I can make now, what I need to put in place now to protect the integrity of my business and my family's wealth, and then what decisions I need to make or will be available to me in the future. So I thought I was just looking to know my number so I would know how long, how hard, how far I would need to work to get there. But I've learned a lot about the decisions I can make today, and that's giving me so much clarity.
Yeah, so let's talk about that clarity a little bit, because it's something that I see as people go through the planning process at different stages. You start to see clarity emerge. Can you talk about what that clarity started to look like as it emerged for you? Is there anything specific, like a time during the planning process where that became kind of apparent? You're like, wow, this is really interesting.
This is kind of a fun and funny story, but it's a real one. So my husband and I are obviously working with your team through all of this. This is life planning, not just business planning.
Right.
And my husband has always been my biggest fan, my biggest supporter. He was in my earlier career when I worked for startups and small businesses. He was our big corporate anchor guy who held down the benefits and the steady job. And he made sure everything stayed in place so I could do wild things in my career. And when it was time for me to start my business, he was such a great supporter in all of that. But neither of us really understood what my business was now contributing to the financial picture. So one of the biggest aha moments for us both was when your team helped to model out what would happen if Jennifer's contributions went away, or death or disability, versus what would happen if Ryan's job went away. And it was such a profound difference in those models that when we got off that call, my husband and I mean, he was joking, but not joking. He's like, should I just quit my job and come to work for you? What do you need me to do right now to help you be successful? Like, can I just run errands for you? It was delightful in the sense that it just helped us both really value what I've been building and what the potential of that has. So that has contributed to a lot of good, open, honest conversations between the two of us, and is honestly giving us so much more clarity in how we think about defining our future and what we both value in our marriage and in our family.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely something that can be just an underrated part of the planning process is, where does the business fit into this, right? And usually there isn't a lot of clarity in terms of how it fits into the big picture. And so the fact that, you guys got that out of the process, and I certainly remember when that happened in the meeting, and you could just see that light bulb go on, and that was like, wow, this is a really powerful moment that you had during that part of the process. I do want to talk a little bit more about just clarity in general. And I know as you went through the planning process, you got a lot more clarity, but what was keeping you up at night before you got that clarity? And how does that feel different today?
Yeah. As I mentioned before, I was mostly living in a mindset of, here's my current income and here are the goals I have for my business, but not really understanding what does that mean that I actually have and what decisions can I start making now? And through this process, the biggest thing that kept me up was like, how long do I have to work? How hard do I need to grind? How far do I need to go? How big do I need this thing to get before I can feel certain that I've arrived, I've succeeded, and our future is secure and the company is like critical mass? And so I carried a lot of that pressure on my shoulders in an unhealthy way. And remember that I grew up with no resources. And so I've been combating scarcity mindset my whole life, right? The minute my husband even mentions that maybe he'd like a new boat, I'm panicking. Like, I guess that means I need to work 3 more years, right? Like,
Right.
so unreasonable level of stress about those things. And so getting to that financial clarity and getting to that forward-looking picture and having clear models that factor in all of the if-then scenarios, like worst case scenario, best case scenario, if we make this life choice now or down the road, has just alleviated so much stress from my shoulders. Like, I don't feel like I'm carrying the world on my shoulders anymore. I feel like I actually have freedom and optionality now that I didn't think I would have for 5 to 10 more years. And that doesn't mean that I'm in any hurry to exercise and exit. It just means that I feel the relief of acknowledging, gosh, I've already been successful in this venture. I can celebrate that and then continue to, grow from a posture of abundance. And yeah, that's been incredible.
Do you feel like it's changed your relationship with the business and possibly with your family as well?
Yes, it is. And our relationship is still pretty new. And so, like working with Freedom Financial, we just started in 2025, and already the impact has been significant. And I shared with you, John, that 2025 was a year where I did a lot of deep work. I was working with a business coach, a very successful entrepreneur who had her own exit. I was in therapy. My husband and I were doing counseling together. We were doing some really deep work so that I could, because I was feeling a lot of pressure. The last couple of years, 24 and 25, were heavy headwind years for a lot of business owners, and the economy is uncertain and the political environment, everything is so unstable that it puts a lot of pressure on business leaders, no matter how your business is performing. And we just weren't hitting the numbers that I had fabricated in my growth plan on day one. When I started the company, I put together a spreadsheet saying, here's how we're going to grow, right? I just pulled numbers out of thin air, ambiguously thinking this is what it should look like, playing by other people's playbooks. And every year that we grew but didn't hit the number I thought we should be hitting, I was feeling like a failure. And I was putting like ridiculous pressure on myself by playing by somebody else's playbook. So this past year of all that deep work that I did, I came to understand that my story is my own and I get to own it, and I get to really create what I want out of my business to serve the business and my employees and my team and family. So when I brought my whole team together for our kickoff this year, we got together in early December. I had gotten to the point of being able to honestly say to them, hey, we're setting aside this old model of what we were trying to grow toward. We're going to let go so that we can grow in new ways, in ways that bring more joy. And that's been really liberating. I also got to learn from several other entrepreneurs along the way who had big exits. I kind of got into their stories a little bit more to understand that what looked so big from the outside, like when you have 14 stakeholders that are splitting that up, it's not that big for the individual owners, right? And so I was able to translate that into my own small business. I'm the sole owner here. I'm like, wow, I guess I need to stop comparing myself to other people's like top line stories and just understand what's going to set me up for success and what that needs to look like.
No, I think that's a great point. We oftentimes do compare. We, see other owners, and we're trying to, I think in our own way, that comparison game can be really tricky, right? Versus just what are we working towards? What do we want out of life, and how does the business support that? And I think you telling these, stories and the clarity you got those are some of the most important meetings we ever have with owners. It's their story, right? It's not somebody else's story. And I love that you brought that up.
I have a point I want to make really quick here too that I think our listeners need to pay attention to, a couple of them actually. One would be most financial advisors do not work with business owners. And so the fact that John has that expertise is a huge, huge advantage, right, for his clients, including you, Jennifer, as well as the fact that he's a SEPA. So he understands risk mitigation from many angles versus just his own silo, more than the average advisor. And so when you talked about like things that you hadn't thought of before and the things that he brought up and how you're looking at it from, completely different angle, and a holistic way, if I might add, that's everything. It's a game changer. And I'd like to commend you, Jennifer, as well, because in my travels in the work I do with business owners and have for the last 14 years, unfortunately, most of them pursue a relationship like this with someone like John very late in the game, which really kind of backs them into a corner in a lot of ways. Like there could have been more options. They could have had more freedom. They could have had, made some different decisions, like you were talking about making the right decisions along the way. And so I just want to commend you for being willing to take that, because it's a risk, right? You're taking a risk, you're taking a leap of faith, and you're doing something that most owners don't do. You said it yourself. You put all your money or a lot of your profits right back into the business, and that's the nest egg for almost all owners. And now here you are, smartly diversifying. So just want to commend you for that.
Thank you. I didn't get there on my own. I've had really good mentors around me all along. And I think maybe if I have one strength, it's in recognizing all the strengths I don't have and seeking those out in other people. And John will tell you, I think, John, it was probably 3 years ago that you and I first met.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to need you. I'm starting to realize that our wealth manager doesn't work with owners. Like that was the pinch point. But I said, just be patient with me because I need to get a new tax advisor first. And I need to build a whole new, I had outgrown all my advisors at once. And, so building this advisory team of true advisors that understand entrepreneurs, it has been absolutely game changing. So,
right.
Yeah.
And one more thing too, when you think about bringing in new advisors, many times owners have a hard time letting go of the ones they've been with for a long time. And sometimes it can be a both and approach. Especially if you're going into some kind of transition period, right? Where not necessarily exiting, but maybe you're acquiring, or maybe you're taking on a partner, you're opening another location and you really need another pair of eyes. And so I think that those advisors can be just, absolute game changers for business owners. So it's really smart that you're bringing them in.
yeah.
Well, I just had one last question, and then Julie, feel free to interject with any other questions that you have. But Jennifer, what would you say to the owner listening right now who knows they should probably start this, but is just putting it off?
I would say start now. But the first most important part of starting now is find the right advisor that has that acumen, like John and his team at Freedom Financial. Find the advisor that you trust inherently. You don't need to take 3 years to network with them like I did with John. He was very patient with me. But it starts with making sure that you really trust that person, because they're going to know all the things and you need to be able to share all the things and feel confident that they've got it. So the right partner fit makes the whole difference. And so start there, but don't put it off. My husband and I are taking on some new, they're not big deals, but right now we're in the middle of renovating our basement. We've lived in our house for 21 years. And we've been on the fence about this house for all of that time and have never finished the basement because it's been our kids' extra hockey rink. And now they're grown. And we were sitting on all of these silly decisions like, well, do we finish this basement? Should we buy a different house? I don't know about the risk and what about the business and yada, yada. And once we finally had a model, it was like, well, yes, okay, we can do this. Let's do it. Let's just get it done and enjoy this. So all the little decisions that we were feeling stuck and just wrapped up in, it's so liberating to be like, hey, we have a model we can vet this through and then confidently make a decision. So I would just say that in having this partnership with Freedom Financial, it's making my relationship, first of all, with myself as a business owner more friendly, because I'm not beating myself up over goals that don't necessarily even align to impact. It's made our marriage stronger because we're dreaming in the same direction now, and we can actually logically put it into plan rather than just have feelings and opinions about it. And it's made the culture at Authentic, which has always been a beautiful culture, but it's made it even stronger coming out of our team all hands, where I was able to release the tension and lead from a different posture. And I know my whole team is feeling that. So this has been a great decision for me. And I encourage business owners to find their people. You shouldn't be going it alone.
Good advice. All right. I have loved listening to the two of you talk about your relationship and just the advantage of having working with someone like John, I think, and I truly believe this, like I say this all the time, and John knows this, that I think that the financial advisor is the most important person at the table for the business owner because that person has the holistic view, right? The home life, the business, the whole thing. They're there from the beginning to the end, whereas people like me are there for a time. And like you said, you really got to have a strong relationship there. So anyway, thank you for sharing your story and being on the show again. I really appreciate it, Jennifer. So happy about your success. You're such a rock star.
Oh, thank you. So
Yeah.
glad to know you both. Thank you for including me today.
Absolutely. And John, thank you
Great.
for
Thank you.
co-hosting. Yeah, it's just wonderful having you, and thanks for sponsoring. And thank you to all of our listeners out there all over the place. We really appreciate you being with us, and join us again next time.